Hi guys, I'm Ryan Newsman and welcome to my fly tying channel. If you haven't already done so, consider hitting the subscribe button down below. That'll keep you up to date with everything as I upload it. My channel already contains hundreds of videos covering a wide range of both patterns and techniques, from the basic to the more advanced. So without delay, let's get on with the show. Hi guys. So I'm going to tie a very famous trout fly, and it's actually, I suppose, one of the first flies I learned to tie, and it's caught me a lot of fish down the years, but it probably fell out of favour a little bit for some reason, I suppose, as I moved to salmon. But this is the black pennel that I'm going to tie. However, you can tie the black pennel as a very small trout fly, but I'm actually going to tie it with a view here to fish for migratory trout. So I'm going to tie it up a little bit bigger, a little bit beefier. So here we've size 8 B175, although you can tie this right down to, I suppose, a 16 or so if you wanted to go there. So B175 size 8 and black tying thread. So we'll add on our thread and wrap it down. Snap it off when we get level with the point, and then I'm going to tie in a bit of tippet, golden pheasant tippet, as a tail. So I take a tippet feather, find the center and snip it out, and then once the tip is out, I'm going to grab as much as I want to make my tail, as many fibers as I want, and then even each side, and then I'm just going to pull this back until I create this separated V. So I'll set that up on top. Get the feather sitting flat on top and put on a couple of wraps backwards to the point of where I want the tail to begin. Now, the tail at the minute is much too long, so we grab our feather here and we pull it forward until such times as we're happy with it. And the fact that the wraps are already over the tail, it keeps the fibers here nice and neat. So I'm going to choose that as my length, because I like the 2 bars in it and I don't want this section to be too short. So we'll just tighten that up a little bit, and then I'm going to take this and snip it off in that junction that I made. Now, don't throw this away, because we can make another tail for another fly out of this. Just separate out as many fibers as you want, pull the rest back, and you're ready to go again for your next fly. So, rib. I'm going to use a silver rib on this one. I'm going to use a silver oval, although you can use silver flat or whatever, depending on the size of the fly that you're tying, but generally it'll be a silver oval. So I take a little bit of silver oval. I'm going to tie it over on your side. I'm going to put a wrap across, then I'm just going to pull the tinsel forward until such times as it's level with the other tag end of our tail fibers, and then I'll wrap backwards, eventually ending up tying it in on the side and slightly below. And that is a classic sort of accepted technique for tying in a tinsel. So then whenever you take your first wrap, it'll be coming up, leaving a very slight little bit of body showing behind it on this side. A lot of people will just tie it in on top or underneath or whatever, and this is the classically accepted, I suppose, way of tying them in. So we'll then use our thread to create a nice even underbody. And on the smaller flies, I would make no attempt at all to build this up. Here, it's up to yourself how thick or otherwise you want the body to be. So I'm going to use here a black rayon floss, and I'm going to take, well, it's probably 14 inches or so there, and I am going to take it by each end. I'm going to put that around the back of my thread and match up the two tips roughly. Now this, as you can see, is now sliding on my thread, so I can hold it down, take my thread up as if I'm doing a wrap, and that will bring it tight in and tie it in. So now I have two strands. I'm just going to put a twist on them to try and flatten them out, and I'll travel backwards, and as you can see I'm sort of taking bites backwards as I go, and that, the tension of that pulling against the body helps to flatten out my silk or floss or whatever you want to call it. So I'm sort of wrapping and wiggling. You might be able to see now that the two strands are wrapping side by side, and I'm just trying to maintain that as I go. So I'm just wiggling and wiggling and wiggling under tension, and that should give me a nice tight body. Now here at the front, what I'm doing is I'm actually overlapping them very slightly to give me a little bit more thickness. If you're tying a smaller version, you won't need to do this. Just as we're tying this sort of bigger Seatrout DOLLAGHAN type version of it, I'm just trying to get a little bit more beef into the body of it. Tie across my thread or across my floss, pull it forwards. I'm going to fold it back to tie it in. Snip it off. So if you want to be fancy, you can now burnish your floss, and that just takes out some of the imperfections and bumps in it, although it's not, strictly speaking, necessary. So we take our silver rib now, and we're going to rib the body. I'm going to aim for 5 turns to my side. You either have the turns evenly spaced or make them slightly wider apart with each turn as you go forward. That last one we tie in across. Snip it off. So all that remains on this fly now is a hackle. So I would generally choose something a little bit soft or webby. So a hen hackle, or in this case I'm going to use like a cock saddle-y type hackle, which has quite a soft base to it, and this is actually a natural black. I find that natural blacks have like green and purple iridescences in them, and I find them to be more attractive than a plain dyed black. So I'm going to double my hackle. Up in the corner you might see an information icon, and there should be links to playlists of techniques, and doubling hackles and a variety of different things are in there. So having doubled it, snip off the tip, and then I do similar to what we did with tying in the tail thing there, is I've separated out a few fibers, so there's a little bit, maybe a millimeter of stalk there, and that's what I'm going to hold in place level with my thumb, put a turn across it there, and then I'm going to flip this back and tie back a couple of turns to hold it in place, ready to be wrapped. If you were tying a smaller sort of spidery type version of it, you would probably only do 1 or maybe 2 wraps here, but as I said, given what I'm going after with this, I'm going to thicken it up a little bit, and I'm going to put on quite a few wraps. So tie it as heavy or as light as you feel like, and in a size that suits you. So as you can see, I'm wrapping between finger and thumb. I'm sort of sliding all of my fibres back, pinching it down in tight so I can place a wrap on, then I can pinch it. I can let go totally with this hand if I want, and then come back to it without fear of it having relaxed. So now I'm going to take my tie and thread through the hackle fibres there, several turns, fold all back and hold it in place, and then I'm going to just wrap back over that a few turns, create a neat little head, tie off this hackle, snip it, and then I'm just going to use my hands to whip or half hitch the head to finish it. Trim that off and take some clear varnish and varnish the head to secure it. I probably need more than one coat of varnish, but for now that is our black Pennel Seatrout version tied. As I said, a little bit heavier dressed than your standard trout version of it. So hopefully you like the video. If you do, hit one of the like buttons, subscribe, tell your friends, check out the other hundreds of videos that I've got to suit all tastes on the channel. And until next time, tight lines, and thanks for watching.